Hello and welcome to Pratik Chess Videos.
Hey Tessers, today we are going to see a game between Anderssen and Kieseritzky in the year 1851. Well, this game was deemed as the immortal game, as this game was truly an bewitching game, just a masterpiece. So a little bit of history about this game. In 1851, London held the Great Exhibition to showcase technology and culture. British, but concurrent with the event, Howard Staunton, very known chess player, we covered him in the last episode, organized the world's first international tournament. The well, the 16 player knockout invited all of the greatest players of all time, while many were unable to attend, and no one thought to invite Paul Morphy, who turned 14 the day after this masterpiece was perfectly played. And well, this masterpiece was a very good thing. So Adolf Anderssen, he did not even receive a first ballot invite to the event. He replaced Lassa, who was considered the strongest German player at the time, but he won the event in notable fashion, just impressive fashion. So, well, the lessons from this game will be covered in the end. So, now let's start the game. The game started e4. Now e4 was played. The in the romantic era of chess, e4 was the almost the only move played. e5, black responses in kind. Now f4, the king's gambit, the most aggressive option at white's disposal. The white sacrifices the f4 pawn to establish a pawn duo with d4 and e4. Sorry, f4 and e4. Yeah, d4 and e4, e into f4. The best way to refute a gambit is to accept it. Nice. So bishop to c4. The bishop's gambit, the slightly less popular option, invites black to check on f4, h4 and make white move the king. D4 is a mistake. Well, because just queen h4 check is coming, you don't even need to do this thing. So bishop to c4. And d4 is too hasty because after queen h4 check, then king e2 d5 with black being better. So to the game, bishop c4 and then queen h4. Now or check. As it turns out, this check displaces the king, but it doesn't mind being on f1. Meanwhile, black's queen is a little bit exposed, and knight f3 will gain time attacking the queen. Knight f6 was more sensible. More accurate. King f1. White can no longer castle, but the king is safe and out of the way on f1. Now b5, dubious move. This is the right idea but the wrong execution. Black gives white a pawn and may free the bishop on c8, but white's bishop on b5 will be well placed and the bishop on c8 doesn't actually gain a good diagonal. b5, good move. This is a much more sensible way to give back a pawn. Black will open lines to white's king and give the bishop a good diagonal. But b5, bishop into b5. Free pawn should be captured now. Knight f6. The knight attacks e4 and considers hopping into pleasant squares on h5 or g4. Knight f3. White gains time by developing the queen. Queen to h6. From this square, the queen defends the f4 pawn. In general, if white can win it back, white will have a large advantage. d3. Dubious move. This is a bit conservative. Wait. White defends the e4 pawn, but the pawn wasn't in real danger. d4 is clearly stronger because the e4 pawn is poisoned. Knight into e4 comes queen e2. So after d3, knight h5. Black threatens to win an exchange with knight g3 check. And then knight to h4. Mistake. Anderssen wants to put the knight on f5, but it will not be very good there. Rook g1. Good move, and here we have white is better. Uh, this move avoiding knight g3 check is actually very strong as white intends g4 when the knight on h5 is nowhere good to go. So now after knight h4, now queen to g5, good move. The knight and the bishop on b5 are attacked. Knight f5. This is the only move to save both the knight on h4 and the bishop on b5. c6. This pushes the bishop back and it controls d5, but it takes some of the fifth rank pressure that was creating real issues for white. Well, g6 should have been played, replied by h4 and then queen f6. And then g4. Interesting. A clever move. The knight on h5 and the queen are in real trouble. And of course the pawn cannot be captured impassioned because the queen on g5 will hang. Bishop a4 was good here with, well, a slightly better advantage, but g4, now knight f6. The knight retreats and attacks g4. White's bishop on b5 and pawn on g4 are both hanging now. Rook to g1. The bishop on b5 is left hanging, but the threat of pawn to h4 is strong and black should not capture. C into b5. Black cracks under the pressure. Now we are getting it. Well, h4. Where is the queen to go? Queen g6. Queen f3. Now Anderssen simply wishes to take the pawn on f4 with bishop into f4 and trap the queen. But before queen f3, h5 was played. The queen is hit again. Queen to g5. Again the queen has only one safe square and then queen to f3. And simply wishes to take the pawn on f4 with bishop into f4 and trap the queen. So now knight to g8. The knight makes a sad retreat so that the queen can retreat uh, along the d8 h4 diagonal. Bishop into f4. The pawn is taken, and the black queen attacked. Queen to f6. The queen pulls back and attacks the b2 pawn. Note that black has avoided his getting his queen trapped, and he has won a bishop. However, white has a winning advantage because of its extremely active pieces and many threats. Knight to c3. The final minor piece is developed and the b2 pawn is no longer in danger. The knight is immediately threatening to go to d5. Bishop to c5. Black starts the process of developing his minor pieces all over again. The bishop hopes to gain time by attacking the rook on g1. Knight to d5. Good move. A brilliant move. Anderssen sacrifices the b2 pawn to swarm the black king with the minor pieces. Queen into b2. There is now no better option than taking the pawn and threatening the rook on a1. Bishop to d6. Uh, Dubious move this is. The move sacrificing both rooks is incredibly thrilling. Without this move, the game might not be famous at all. However, it is not the best move. White did not have to sacrifice both rooks to attack. Yeah, rook e1 was simply enough to win with the minor pieces, but now the thrill of winning a sacrificial game is a lot. But well, the thrill is good, and but bishop d6 is little bit unacceptable. But still, bishop to d6. Come on, just walk it off. Yep. Once it's allowed. So bishop into g1. A mistake. Pretty bad mistake. Incredibly, this move loses. The key was to take one rook, but not both. Very tricky here, eh? Black is winning actually. No, actually black is winning. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Lander. Black is winning after queen into a1 check. Good move. King e2 and the queen to b2 check. Good move. Black is winning. Damn. That's hard. That's hard. But bishop into g1. What to do about it? Now bishop into d1 mistake. So now I play e5, which is interesting move. Like bishop to d6, this move is spectacular, but it is probably not best. The main point of this move is to cut the black queen off from the defense of the g7 pawn. Knight into g7 check is a checkmating threat. So now rook to e1. Uh, no, not rook to e1. Rook to e1 should have been played. Saving the rook still leaves white with a tremendous attack, despite the fact that he's down a rook and a minor piece right now. But nope, he literally doesn't care. Just queen into a1 check. Grab the rook already. The second rook is captured. But now king to e2. The king is best tucked away. Alright, so the king is tucked away. So after king to e2, now knight to a6. Mistake. The fatal error. Black has only one defense, and it is incredibly hard to spot. If you find this defense, hats off to you, first thing. And second thing, find this one. It's bishop to a6. Okay, who am I kidding with? I mean, seriously, whom am I kidding with bishop to a6? But this move, freeing the c8 square for the king, is simply only move that the king doesn't get brutally mated or lose all of black's pieces. And after some complications, the game is equal. Let's dive deep into the meat here. So knight c7 check, king to d8, knight into h6. Well, knight into a6 is complicated. Knight into a6 is various variations, but in the game, sorry, not in the game. The queen into a8 is the main variation. Knight into a6 is pretty complicated. So queen into a8 and then bishop to c8 check. Double X, hats off to this move. Well, so firstly queen into b8 and then secondly queen to c3 with a literal equal position. Well, so that's a reason why after e5 queen a1 king a2 knight a6, which is a fatal error. Now knight into g7 check. Now white wins a pawn, forces the king to d8. The dark squares were already exposed, but now they are completely open for white's attack. King to d8 forced. Queen f6 jack. Fantastic. Well, just fantastic. Oh my god. The fantastic Anderssen's voids one of the prettiest and most unique checkmates in the history of the royal game. Well, queen into f7 is silly because who would mate such a way? I mean, come on, you're getting a shot at glory and you're playing queen into f7. Knight into f6, the only silly alternative was knight to e7. Bringing your knight between a bishop, a knight, and a queen. That doesn't make sense, so knight into f6. Bishop to e7 mate. Did you spot that? I hope you did. A finish clearly worthy of a masterpiece known as the immortal game. The white has sacrificed. Keep the count, we'll keep the count. One bishop, which means three. White has sacrificed one bishop, many pawns. Will signify many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see how many pawns he sacrificed because we need to clarify how many things he sacrificed in the game. Well, let's start from the very beginning. One pawn sacrifice was the king gambit. Second pawn sacrifice. Well, let's see. Yeah, second pawn sacrifice queen into b2. Two pawns sacrifice. Yup, he sacrificed two pawns in this game. So one bishop, two pawns, that's equal to 5. Both rooks, that equals to 15. And the queen, 21, with a stunning mate, for a stunning mate with the remaining minor pieces. This was the game. Damn, big game, isn't it? Now lessons. Accurate calculation is vital to chess success. That's very obvious, but still that's very important. And exposed pieces like the Queen on h4, bishop on b5, knight on f6. Give the opponent tempos in attack and don't be greedy like black took both the rooks. Alright, this was the game. I hope you like this video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you.